All right, I think we're live. Hello. Hello, everyone, and welcome. Welcome to another episode of the Empowered Immigrant Live. I am your host, Otis Landerholm, and thank you so much for being here with me today. We are live on Facebook. We are live on YouTube. We are happy to have you with us. All right? So here at the Empowered Immigrant Live, we are here to train, to teach, to inspire, and to empower immigrants to make the most out of immigration laws and to make the most out of their lives. And today our theme is false claims to U.S. citizenship. False claims to U.S. citizenship and what to do about them. And thank you to everyone who asked questions. All right, we've got 30 minutes to discuss this topic, as we always do, in English. And then at 2:30 p.m. Pacific time, in just 30 minutes, we will discuss it on the same topic in Spanish. Así que si usted habla español, pues que venga con nosotros a las 2:30. And if you speak English, stay here right now, and we will talk about this important topic, which is false claims to U.S. citizenship. All right, are you ready? Are you ready? I hope you are. Welcome. All right, so we'll jump right in, okay? And in the meantime, as we're going, as always, if you have questions, if you have, an issue or whatever, put it in the comments, put it in the chat. I will do my best to answer it, okay? So, all right, we'll jump right in. What is a false claim to U.S. citizenship? So here's the thing, all right? A husband and wife were in my office just the other day. The wife's a U.S. citizen, all right? The husband's undocumented. But the husband used to have an immigration case, and through that old case, he got a lawful Social Security number, all right? There are a lot of people that have a lawful Social Security number, but they don't have other documents. And so over the years, when he applied to jobs, he would show that lawful Social Security number, and then he would check a box, right? When you go to a job, they'll give you forms to fill out, and he would check a box saying that he was a U.S. citizen, all right? Because along with his green card, he didn't have anything else. He doesn't have a green card. He doesn't have any other legal authorization to work. All right? So let me ask you, you're there watching this. Is that a problem? Do you think that's a problem? What's the problem? The answer is yes, that is a problem. All right? Husband and wife. Wife's a U.S. citizen. Husband is not. He said that he was a U.S. citizen on his jobs. Here's the thing. Don't file for adjustment of status. Don't file for a green card. Your green card will be denied if you're in that situation. There is no waiver available, and it'll put you at risk to being put into deportation proceedings. That is a false claim to U.S. citizenship, and that's what we're talking about today. When somebody checks that box saying they're a U.S. citizen, or what if they're entering in, right? What if they're entering and crossing the border and they show somebody else's U.S. citizen birth certificate, right, to try and gain entry to the U.S.? That is a false claim to citizenship, and it screws you over, all right? I don't want you to do that. I don't, and if it happened in the past, please do a consultation first, because you shouldn't file a normal immigration case. It cannot be waived or fixed or helped in any normal immigration case. By no family-based cases, all right, will work, because there is no waiver to false claims of U.S. citizenship, all right? Can they still be fixed in some way? Yes, all right? But they can only be fixed in immigration court or with humanitarian-based immigration options like asylum or like U visas. Okay? So you got to be weary, got to be on guard, got to be aware of the consequences of false claims to U.S. citizenship. All right, so what about this, right? If I'm walking down the street and if I'm singing an old song, you guys won't know this, but there's an old song it's called Born in the USA. Do you know this by Bruce Springsteen? All right. Born in the USA, I was born. Oh man, great song, right? And so if you're singing that song and you say, I was born in the USA while I was walking down the street, do you have a false claim to citizenship? Okay, no. All right, just saying it, walking down the street, doesn't mean you're going to be barred for the rest of your life. There are specific things that have to be included in order to trigger the inadmissibility, in order to cause the problem, in order to legally be a quote-unquote false claim to citizenship. And so before we get to all the questions, I want to talk about the basics. All right? To be a false claim, quote-unquote, a false claim to U.S. citizenship, to cause that permanent inadmissibility, it must, one, be made after 1996, because the law that created this passed in 1996. Two, it must be intentional, okay? So you have to mean to say that you were a U.S. citizen, all right? And because of that, legally, if you were a child when you made the false claim, or if you were incapacitated in some other way, maybe you didn't have the level of intent required, so be aware of that. Number three is it has to be of United States citizenship. If you lied saying that you're a green card holder, I'm a permanent resident, that's different. That doesn't trigger, that can be waived, all right? But if you say I was a U.S. citizen or I am a U.S. citizen, that cannot be waived, okay? And four, it must be for the purpose of obtaining a benefit under federal or state law, okay? It must be for the purpose of obtaining a benefit under federal or state law. So if you're walking around singing, I'm a U.S. citizen, I'm a U.S. citizen, that doesn't, it's not for the benefit of any law. It's for your own, everybody has the freedom of speech. All right? You can say what you want. It's not for the benefit of it's not like you're misrepresenting your citizenship in order to gain some benefit. I lied saying I was a U.S. citizen so that I could get welfare. I lied saying I was a U.S. citizen so that I could get a job. I lied saying I was a U.S. citizen so that I could apply for Section 8 housing. I lied saying that I was a U.S. citizen, to gain entry into the United States. All right? Any of that stuff, and you'll cause a problem. You'll cause permanent inadmissibility. Okay, so I hope that's clear. The other thing I want to say is that false claims to citizenship can be, quote unquote, timely retracted. Like if you're in the if you said I'm a U.S. citizen and then right there you said, oh, sorry, that's actually not true. I'm actually undocumented. I didn't mean to say that I was a U.S. citizen. I'm sorry about that. You can retract it if you're right there in the same time, same hearing, same interview, whatever it might be. You can do that. All right? That's one way to fix it, one strategy to fix it. Important to know that. Okay, so that's all I wanted to say. Those are the basics. If you've got those things, you made a statement that you are a U.S. citizen, not a green card holder, that was intentional and it was for the purpose of obtaining some benefit under federal or state law, you just triggered inadmissibility as a false claim to U.S. citizenship, and that will cause a serious problem for your immigration case, all right? And so you need good advice as to, one, whether or not you can fix it, all right? And two, whether or not you should file any other type of case, because it might put you at risk, all right? It might put you at risk, and sometimes it's like, hey, I'm really glad that you consulted with an attorney first, because if you would have filed this case, not only will they deny your case, but they could very well put you into deportation proceedings, all right? And so it's like proceed with caution, proceed with caution. All right. So let's get into your questions. Our first question today comes from Leonel. Leonel, thank you for your question. All right. And for those who are watching me, if you have questions, please, ask them. Please ask them. All right. So Leonel, your question is, why is saying you're a U.S. citizen such a big deal? That is a great question, Leonel. Thank you for asking it. The answer really is, I don't know. It shouldn't be that big of a deal, right? It's a big deal to immigration. That's the best answer I have. In my opinion, it shouldn't be that big of a deal. In my opinion, it should still be waivable. Yeah, it is a type of misrepresentation, right? But there's lots of misrepresentations in immigration law that can be waived. So why is this one special? I don't know. It's the way Congress made it in 1996 when Congress passed IRA, the Illegal Immigration Reform and Immigrant Responsibility Act. Under the Clinton administration, it is the way it is. All right? If you want to change the law, please do so. I'd love it, but you're going to have to do it through Congress. All right, thanks, Leonel. The second question that I have comes from Prince. Prince, thank you so much for your question. Your question is, I have a false claim to U.S. citizenship. How do I fix it? And the answer is, well, first of all, thank you for asking that question. And before even answering it, it's like, let's get to the bottom of it. Was it really a quote-unquote false claim to U.S. citizenship? Excuse me. Another question that I have for you, Prince, is does immigration actually know about it? Like, is there a finding about it? Was there a case that was denied because of it? Like, did an immigration judge say that you have a false claim to citizenship? Because if so, that's a serious problem, okay? If so, your only options might be some humanitarian type case, asylum or a U visa, or in some cases, cancellation of removal in immigration court, all right? Which, yes, cancellation of removal can be approved even if there was a false claim to citizenship. It can be done. I have done it. I have won it. It is possible, all right? And my team has fought those cases. And so the options, though, asylum, cancellation of removal, those cases can be risky, all right? And so you don't want to do those unless you have expert advice. All right, and obviously I'd love it if you called our office. We're here to help. We'd love to discuss it with you, do a consultation, the whole thing. All right, so that's, Prince, that's my first question to you is, does immigration actually know about it? If immigration doesn't know about it, maybe you've never filed anything with immigration before, but you made a false claim, for example, to your work or in an application for a home mortgage or in some, for some other thing, and you want to fix it before you file for a green card, or you want to fix it so that you could file for a green card, you might possibly be able to make a timely retraction and amend the employment records or the credit issues or the mortgage application or wherever it was that you said that you were a U.S. citizen. And so, like, to discuss that, like timely retraction and amendments and things like that, that would be a good thing to do a full consultation for with an attorney. Feel free to give our office a call. Let's figure out what we can do. Okay? So, Prince, thanks a lot for that question. Our next question comes from Mohammed. All right? Mohammed says, we applied for asylum in 2017. Are there any updates about asylum interviews? All right. Now, this is a great question. And I'm sure we have a lot more listeners that are in your same situation. Mohammed, thank you for asking that question. There are right now more than 386,000 asylum seekers who are caught in the asylum system, in the asylum backlog with no end in sight. All right? 386,000 and rising all the time. It's like our U.S. asylum system is broken, and unfortunately, we've got to keep waiting and waiting and waiting, likely for a law to change before we see any substantial improvement. to that. And so unfortunately, Mohammed, the answer is we're just going to have to keep waiting and waiting and waiting. Asylum is just that messed up right now. Okay? So hope that was helpful. I'm sorry that that's the situation, but that is the situation. Hopefully you can apply for work permits, right, for yourself, your family, and everyone. All right, the next question comes from Khalida. Khalida, thank you so much. Your question is, my sister and 2 brothers and mom is in Afghanistan. They're all in Afghanistan. How should I help them to come to the USA? All right. So Khalida, thank you for asking that question. My heart goes out to you and to everyone from Afghanistan right now. There will be no easy way to get them to come to the U.S. No easy way to do it. Why? Because the U.S. consulate now is completely closed, and there's no more flights that are like the, evacuate type flights leaving Afghanistan. And so, my best advice is to be in touch with your congressional representative. My best advice is to push politically, because the law isn't really going to help you. All right? The law does not have an easy way to resolve it. If you're a U.S. citizen, you have the right to file petitions for your sister, for your brothers, and for your mom. All right? If you, Khalida, are a U.S. citizen, you have the right to do that. But those take a long time. All right? And it won't work. The final step will not work in Afghanistan. They will need to go to a different country, India perhaps, or Turkey perhaps, or in order to process, in order to go and to get their consular interview. Anyway, it's a disaster and a nightmare, that situation. So my heart goes out to you and to everyone from Afghanistan. All right, my next question comes from Amrik. Amrik, thank you for your question. Your question is, I have 3 children. I have 3 children and a wife who are citizens in the U.S., and 6 years ago, I was deported. Okay? 3 children and a wife are citizens of the U.S., and 6 years ago, I was deported, but I've got my I-130 approved, and I need a waiver. Can you help me? All right. So, cool. I'm Reek. I mean, that's a horrible situation to be in, and thank you for asking the question. Yes, it sounds to me like you will need 2 waivers. Reek, it sounds to me like you'll need 2 waivers. One for unlawful presence, for the time that you were here in the U.S., and 2 for the deportation order. And the first for unlawful presence is on Form I-601, and the second for deportation order is on Form I-212. And yes, my office can help you with that, all right? But the first step is to have a very detailed consultation, all right, to review what happened, to see exactly what caused your deportation, to go over carefully every one of the facts in your situation so that we can give you top quality advice. Okay? It's all about we want to navigate it correctly for you. Okay? And so keep getting me your questions. I've just got one more, it looks like. And so if you've got an additional question, keep coming in. And Danitza, if you're watching me, if you've got some more questions, send them to me. All right, so my next question comes from Mohammed. Mohammed says, hi, are people with pending asylum applications who work as a quote-unquote essential worker, are they going to be eligible to apply for a green card if the budget reconciliation bill passes? Wow, Mohammed, great question. That's a great question. The answer is yes, okay? If you are a quote-unquote essential worker as defined in that bill, which I'm not going to get into right now, right? And if that bill actually passes, the whole budget reconciliation process that's happening right now, then yes, you might be able to take advantage of that in some way. And having an asylum case pending should not cause any problem. all right? It should not pose any problem for taking advantage of a new law if there's a new law that passes for quote-unquote essential workers, okay? Now, let me give a little bit of an update since you asked that question. It's a great question. So just a reminder for everyone, right? There is a budget reconciliation, like a budget bill, right, that's being drafted right now. And it's in committee, and it's been preliminarily passed in both the House of Representatives and the U.S. Senate. But there's still a long way to go, like an uphill battle, all right? And right now it's September 2nd, but we should know, like this thing theoretically needs to pass by September 30th, okay? It should pass by September 30th because that's when the fiscal year ends. Remember, the start of the fiscal year in the United States is October 1st every year. And so it's like this month is going to be the push to see if that budget reconciliation bill, which is a huge bill, passes. But part of that bill includes some immigration-related benefits for essential workers, for people with TPS, for people with DACA, all right? And also for farm workers. That was the fourth category. I blanked on it for a second. Okay? And so, so cool, right? If that were to pass, you want to monitor that. You want to be seeing that. You want to like pay attention to that. Okay? And so, so perfect. That's all I got, everybody. It's 2:23. I'm gonna wrap up. And if you have other questions, send our notifications in. And that's all we have time for today. And hey, if I haven't answered your question, or if you're still typing it right now, send it in anyway, all right? I can still answer it later. And if this information is useful, or if you're seeing it later, or whatever, hey, please subscribe to our channel here in YouTube. Please click the notification bell so that we can get you the additional legal updates as they come out, and we can inform you with additional legal news, all right? And if you have an immigration case, hey, give us a call. We're here to help. And so thank you, everyone. Thank you so much. Great to spend time with you here today. I'm Otis Landerholm. I'm the founding attorney here at Landerholm Immigration, A.P.C., where we fight for your American dream. And thank you for joining us on another episode of the Empowered Immigrant Live. Thanks a lot, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.